We think of like all of the theme songs in your mind just humming along. But right now I'm obsessed with Monster Hunter and the newest expansion.
I don't really have a favorite video game. I love all games, but right now I'm currently playing World of Horror, which is kind of like a pixel art turn-based combat RPG, and it's really fun. So.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. We'll start off this question with you, Sammy Joe. Sorry with the audio. How did you start your career in gaming?
Well, it's funny. I was actually talking to a couple of the girls here already. I would not have my job today if I didn't start playing Minecraft in grade 11. I was really into a collective of YouTubers called the Creature Hub when I was little, and through that server, I became like a moderator and then an admin. Then I started going to events with them and helping them out. And from there, I got to meet and talk to a lot of people in the League of Legends industry. I did a couple of like video edits for people like Dyrus and stuff like that, and just a lot of volunteer work and a lot of just right time, right place, and kind of made my way that way.
For me, it was a lot of research, so just really wanting to get into the industry, trying to find opportunities in the community to kind of get involved. Any jobs that had something related to gaming I wanted to try out for, and just keeping myself open to those experiences that I could get into, and then just eventually kind of working your way, networking your way to where we are today.
I got started on my career path while I was in post-secondary, being such a big advocate for education myself. It got easier to start entering the esports industry when I went to post-secondary because there was the club system. So I got involved with esports clubs, started running events, started getting contract to run other people's events, and was very, very happy to come back to work at a college, which kind of feels full circle for me.
I started off as a game design intern at a small production studio. And at the time, our team was very small. So then they were like, oh, who can do the social media and stuff? I'm like, I guess I can. Just like, taking on jobs and just volunteering my time to do more. And then after that, we kind of worked on a game that we got Steam greenlit back then when Steam greenlight was a thing. And this kind of put me on the map as like a Toronto game dev person. Then after that, I was there for a few years, and then I joined Massive Damage in 2017. I've been there since.
So Jacqueline, I'll ask this question to you next. What is it about the career that you have in gaming that really inspires you, or that you're most passionate about? Sorry, I know it cut off, so I'll ask this again. What is it in your career in gaming that you're really passionate about and that really inspires you?
I'm really inspired by how, our team of individuals can we were strangers at first, and we all kind of just got together and just creating a project that's just bigger than ourselves. We can build explorable universes and, tell stories, and hopefully that, the people who play it, will love it as much as we did.
What inspires me to work at Durham College and in esports is the day-to-day of the students that I get to see. When they come into the esports arena and see that it's actually something that's celebrated on their campus, their eyes light up, their jaws drop. They feel like they're home. It's very nice for them to feel that it's not negatively stigmatized somewhere in the esports arena. And for me, that's a big thing, having grown up in that stigma, is I'm very, very empowered and inspired by the students that I get to work with every day.
So what inspires me to work in gaming is just bringing that feeling of, when I first played my video game, and like as I continue to play video games, to immerse myself in a world and be able to share that with people. So in particular with Extra Life Toronto, being able to help build a community and reach out to people and kind of give them a place to not only just game, but find people who also can game with them and also do good for the world. That is just something that, really touches me every day, that I'm able to see people be willing to do that, as well as, be able to have fun with each other.
For me personally, gaming was there at a time where I was very alone and I just didn't really have a lot of people to talk to or thrive in that kind of lonely environment. And I thrive on the fact that gaming is kind of one of those things that if you have a game that you like, you already have a common denominator with someone, and like kind of building onto that. And if I could be that person that kind of helps a little bit for other people, then that makes me happy and inspires me.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. I think with the whole gaming aspect, even if you're a solo player, if you play with a group of people or you're a competitive player, Something that I've really discovered through Microsoft is that even if you're someone who's a newcomer or you don't necessarily have a lot of friends that are maybe close by to you, the great thing with gaming is that there's a community that you can always reach out to either talk about the games that you enjoy or ask for tips or to play together. So I definitely agree with all of you. Renee, something that I want to ask you is, what impact would you say your work has done on the community, especially working for Extra Life and doing a lot of things in terms of community engagement, nonprofits, and working with people who may have like a greater need?
So doing social media and community building for Extra Life is, and I think for I guess anything that's sort of in the same field, nonprofit, trying to kind of work for a bigger picture. It's very, I guess, important to build a community that supports each other, and having social media as sort of a central kind of point of communication for everyone that they can kind of find and be like, oh, where's the next event? We host a lot of events throughout Toronto. We also do socials and guild meetups. We work we work closely with Sick Kids, who definitely gives us a lot of support to do that. So just having that name out there, having a place where a lot of people thought, oh, Extra Life is something that we do individually. No, it is something you can do together. It is something that you can, bond together with and like do something good for the whole community and to help kids in need. That is what I would say is the most impactful thing, and what the work that I do in social media does for the community just kind of brings people together.
Is there anything that you, the other panelists would like to share in terms of the impact they have done onto the community, whether it be in terms of like Sick Kids and working with another community that may be in need or may really benefit in gaming? Is there anything that anybody wants to share?
So before Discord, our community was kind of like scattered across all the places like Twitter, the Steam forums, and Facebook. And we didn't really have a central place where everyone could kind of come together and talk to each other and bond. So after I created the Discord server, I saw a lot more people joining, and at even shows and stuff like PAX or Gamescom, like people would drop by the booth and be like, oh, you're so-and-so on Twitter, I'm sorry, on Discord. And they're like, oh, you're so-and-so on Discord. So then they would like, just take photos together and you just post it on the server later. It's kind of nice to see our community just come together and, really support each other.
Thank you very much. So, Sarah, what would you say are the key foundations to building a diverse and inclusive community?
This is something that we work with a lot at Durham College, naturally being a campus that has both local, international students, all different races, ethnicities, cultural backgrounds. We're basically a big group of anybody that you can possibly imagine. And then we tried to throw esports slap in the middle of that. Because you can imagine a lot of people were like, okay, esports is cool. Some people didn't quite know what esports was. So for us, the biggest part of building an inclusive community was starting an educational aspect of why esports is even here in the first place, so that you can potentially understand the positive impacts of it, the academic pathways you can follow into careers. It was also very important to us to reach out to other community groups. There's already quite a few existing clubs on campus, a couple of different societies on campus that all have different backgrounds. And for us, we wanted to bring them into the space to show them this is a safe space where they can interact with one another and enjoy their hobbies in a positive way.
I know in my experience with my current job right now, one thing that really opened my eyes up to like intersectionality even more so is that you could have like a really awesome like art project with different shades of blues and purples. And one thing that was receptive from our community is like the colorblind people. So like there are things and that a community manager or even just a game developer should be receptive to from their community to grow and do better, just to be more inclusive to everyone.
What are some challenges that you currently face when trying to build a community within the gaming industry?
Right now, I face the additional task of trying to build a mobile gaming community. The aspect there, tools like Discord make it a little bit more easier, but being a mobile gaming app, you're just playing on your phone. It's very hard to kind of communicate with one another. But I work on initiatives that do kind of bring people together, encourage kind of like, oh yeah, take a friend, oh, challenge this friend to do this, and try and like just little bit by little, just trying to develop more discussions and having real communication with the people playing my games.
I would say some challenges that I face building it is there are times when because we are a nonprofit, people expect certain things from you and from the community that you're is not really in a position to give. We do have obviously limited resources, and we want to do the best that we can in terms of everything that we can give. Be able to maybe promote your stream if you're doing a stream. Getting you connected with the right people if you're trying to, plan a community day for yourself or a game day for yourself and your friends, things like that. But it is sometimes difficult to be able to provide everything. But I do think that because of the connection we have with everyone and because everyone is so willing to help out, and we have, especially in Toronto, just such a dedicated core of people who are always willing to go the extra mile for everyone else, that it really does pull through, and it really does not really make it even something that I feel is a challenge at all because of that.
I'm going to add on to the challenges that we face. One of the ones that speaks very well to this panel is gender balance. One of the things that we're struggling with is having females feel comfortable coming out and participating in our space, participating in our activities, because they see that it's male dominated and that makes them very nervous. We do have quite a few females that come out, but they come out in packs. They come out in groups where they feel comfortable with one another. But the guys walk in solo because they feel comfortable already. It's not something that they have trouble dealing with. And to tack on to that, building our competitive teams. So we have 7 competitive teams at Durham College that are open to male or female, because all you guys already know that there's no difference. You don't have to segregate male and female teams. But having the ability to empower females to come out and try out for these teams is something that we're struggling with quite a bit as well. They know they're good enough. They know that they have the ability to try out, but they're scared and they're nervous. So how do we help them feel comfortable to come out and participate in these tryouts? I know the ladies on the competitive panel will talk about this later because they'll kick butt in this category, so I'll leave it to them.
For me, it's finding a balance between what I can show from our demo and we, as indie devs, we can't always, show the community what we're working on because we kind of want to keep that element of surprise when our game launches. So sometimes, like in our Discord, it can get kind of quiet, like little quiet dead zones of like just nobody talking. But I think I might try to overcome that by maybe asking more questions, like a weekly question, or maybe kind of ask people for feedback on what they'd like to see in the game. So hopefully I'll be doing that, and I'll let you know how that works out.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask this question to all 4 of you, since your backgrounds are very, very diverse and very different, despite being in community development. But where do you see your community going in about 5 years? I know it's a really broad question, so feel free to answer in whichever way you feel fit.
I know for me personally, I love it when I get to see our community, doing fan art and doing stuff like that. So in 5 years, if our app does get to like the HQ level, minus having to shut down, that would be fantastic, because I feel like HQ Trivia in the mobile space was such like a monster when it came to like community engagement and involvement.
So for Extra Life in general as a brand is just so widely known these days, and it's growing a lot bigger. Extra Life in Toronto, I feel, is definitely getting a bigger name for itself here, getting more recognition, more people kind of know what that means when they say, oh, I'm doing Extra Life. And in 5 years, I'm hoping that it's going to be kind of more of a general thing where people could say, oh, I'm participating for Extra Life, and it'll be something like Jump Rope for Heart or like 24-Hour Famine, where people be like, oh, that's the gaming thing that, helps Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto or whatever other hospital that you'd like to help. And yeah, I'm hoping to be there for their growth as well.
In the next 5 years in the Durham region, we're planning to break down the negative stigma surrounding esports and video games. We plan to do that by helping educate parents that esports is something positive. Your child shouldn't be scared to tell you that they want to go to school to play games on a competitive team or to take esports related programming. So we're really focused around that currently and building up the community so they do feel that safe, inclusive space to pursue their dreams. Because it hurts when you're told that you can't pursue your dream. So we want to help them with that.
So the continuous existence of our community also relies on the studio's survivorship as well. So our project runway development cycles every 1.5 to 2 years, but every time we keep releasing a game, we keep building up on our community. And right now, the people in our community have been really helpful in onboarding new players from our old game, and also just writing guides and tips and even making videos. So I guess for me in 5 years, I just want to be able to see our community keep reaching out to support each other.
Thank you. So we'll start our fireside chat. I think the next questions that we really want to address and ask you is, how can we come together and work as a community to empower women in gaming? Something that we have started to do at Microsoft and that we've done for a couple of years now is that we've done the Women in Gaming event, or previously known as the Women's Video Game Social, which Jackie participated in. And that's where we actually found Maria and how she came to our team. So we, like Sarah, we've also noticed that within our gaming tournaments, we haven't really seen a lot of female representation here. So to overcome that, what we've done is we've done a Women in Gaming or Women Video Game Social where women can come together, or girl gamers can come together and feel a little bit more comfortable, like you said, having a pack that they can really identify with. What are some steps that you're currently taking, or some things that you think we can do as a community to really overcome this struggle?
In my field, I definitely see a stigma that just like women get super intimidated by any of the gaming industry positions. But from my point of view, because of esports and because of like the surgeons in gaming, even if you want to be an accountant, a lawyer, even a nutritionist, like where we are today, there is room for every single one of those jobs in the gaming industry as well. And even if you do want to like not play it safe and want to be like a professional CSGO player, etc., I just really urge women to actually get out there and even try it, because there's no harm in trying. I kind of take the kind of picky approach where if I see someone who wants to do something and I see them being a little timid, I have no problems being kind of like that person that pushes that person to do that. And it's okay to be a little bit pushy sometimes if it leads to people following their dreams.
Well, I'd like to start with, if anyone here who is a woman who wants to get into Extra Life, contact me after this so we can get you signed up. Obviously, because I do work in a little bit of a different role in terms of gaming, more community and volunteer and nonprofit. And of course, most people who play games are a little bit louder and a little bit more male. There isn't, I'd say, in my community there is a lot of female representation, but there could always be more. And I definitely, as a woman in gaming, want to kind of nourish that. If any woman wants to come and join and have those resources, I think that our guild, which is what we call the sort of city chapters, we're always just open to accepting anyone. Women, LGBTQ. If someone has a disability and whatnot, those are things that we deal with, especially with kids every day as well. And it is important for our community to be open in terms of everything and accessible. So yeah, hit me up.
Things like what Microsoft is doing today helps the community tremendously. We're doing a Women in Gaming panel where we're showcasing you individuals that work in these career spaces in a bunch of different roles, different titles. And I think that's amazing. If you were currently scared to pursue a career because of your gender, look at what all these women have done, and the women that you're about to meet later today. They're all phenomenal. These are great positive role models for anybody to look up to. Ask them how they got started, pick their brains, see how they got to where they are. And to me, that's what helped me get into the industry. I was very scared, so I looked up to positive role models in the gaming industry. I think another one of the things that's very much going to help is, if you look at young children, I'm going to use Fortnite as an example because they love their Fortnite. But when they're young and they're playing Fortnite, they don't notice the gender. They don't see that there's an issue there. So I think by properly raising the youth to let them know that there shouldn't be this difference between male and female gamers, they're going to grow up and tremendously help push our gender equality and equity in this space.
I think what might help is to take a genuine interest in women-led projects and give people more opportunities to work in gaming. Right now in my Discord server, I made Evil Giraffe. She's like a really good mod for our server. I made her kind of the lead mod, and our server is very male dominated, so it's nice to see other females be represented in strategy gaming.
I definitely agree, Jacqueline. I think something that I really appreciated that I came across a couple days ago was I was on my Google Play Store trying to look for new mobile games to explore, and I actually saw a section that celebrated women indie devs. So there were actual games that were pretty much in the spotlight that highlighted games that were made and created by women. So I definitely agree. I think that's great. I think we've already kind of touched on this, but let's just take a little bit of a deeper dive into it and see what advice would you give other individuals who are maybe looking to pursue a career in the gaming industry. We've talked about being a little uncomfortable to get comfortable, but is there anything else that you can maybe highlight based off of your previous experience that you can maybe pass on to the rest of the crowd here?
I know in my experience, when I wanted to try something, I would just volunteer. So I did a lot of volunteer work within various aspects, whether it be at Fan Expo or like PAX East, or even if you want to work at like Riot Games. If you email in and like ask for some help, a lot of the times you will get the feedback that you want. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, I guess going back to what you said as well, and also the question where we talked about how we got into the game industry, for me, was a lot of research. Definitely putting yourself in situations that may not be the most comfortable for you, but taking that dive, is really the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out, but you go to your next opportunity, and there's always, I find, something else that you can do and something else that you can learn from, regardless if it's sort of a fail in your eyes or not. And most of the time it's not, if you definitely view it in a way where this is improvement for you and another step closer to your dreams in being in the game industry.
I would say pick the brains of those around you. Everyone has a different approach. For example, I'm very shy, so a lot of those outgoing strategies don't work for me because I'm too nervous to go that route. I'm very introverted. The other thing I would say is don't be nervous to talk to the people that you need to talk to. Reach out, see if there's any job opportunities. Reach out, see if you can volunteer. There's so many different events that happen in this space, and so many people looking to bring you on because we are very welcoming, we are very inclusive. Don't be nervous. If you need backup, I'll be that backup. We don't know each other yet, but I want to be able to help you guys get into this space. It's something that there's so much growth and so much room for everybody. There's no reason to try and keep you guys out. We want to bring you in, so we'll be there for you.
For me, if you want to get into the community development space, I would suggest to take an empathetic approach to problem solving. A lot of times as an indie dev, for me in community development, sometimes I have to deal with players, who run into bugs, and I have to help them resolve those issues. And sometimes, they might be frustrated or a little upset, so they're venting, but not at me, but just frustrated by the problem. And as a community person, sometimes you absorb these emotions, even though they're not yours. You feel this force from someone else. But in any case, I always try to, look at things logically and use reason to solve problems and not respond emotionally.
Thank you. I think that's great. Yeah, like leading with empathy, being a support for another person who may be a little bit too shy to reach out at that point. We're here today to get to know each other and to really, again, come together as a community. So we really appreciate you all being here. If you do have any questions for these ladies, even also the next ones for the next panels, feel free to always chat with them, reach out to them, whether it be in person today or connect on LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever social media channel you feel more comfortable with. But I'm going to just use the last couple minutes to see if anybody has any questions for our panelists.
Something that I struggle with is dealing with people that toe the line in communities. Like you have your like TOS or whatever, and they're just like maybe a little bit rude or a little bit don't have the social skills necessarily, but they're creating conflict in your community, but aren't breaking TOS. So I would love to hear like how you, each of you, help these individuals.
I'm assuming TOS is terms of service? Perfect.
What I've done in the past is be very respectful publicly, and then try to take it into like the personal, like DM, whatever, as soon as possible, just so you could kind of contain the situation. And usually the rest of the community will be very receptive to that. And then when they are kind of towing the line, it can be very difficult. So you just have to kind of nip any negative behavior in the butt. and just like make them very aware and like be very honest, like you are, sir or ma'am, you are very much so towing the line. And just remember, even if you are responding to people privately, anything you say could be taken publicly, so just always be respectful, always be nice.
I'm gonna ditto that, and I would say that I'm actually very fortunate to be doing social media for Extra Life and a community that is typically very, very nice to each other, and we don't really have any sort of conflicts or even like a little awkwardness. Obviously, that does still come up sometimes, and I'm also fortunate to have a leadership team that I can go to talk about these things and that we can converse with together, and just kind of figure out what the best way of dealing with that is. So definitely, if you're not really sure on what to do, I would rely on if you have other people to see like maybe where they think that this person is coming from, getting some advice from them. But for sure, you definitely need to make people understand that you do need to be respectful of everyone. And if you do that, you get that in return, and you build that kind of community that everyone wants to be in.
Very much agree with these two ladies here. The other thing for our community is very much in person. So if someone's crossing that line or getting very close to it in person, it's a little bit scarier to wonder what's going to happen because they're surrounded by all of these other individuals. For us, we have a lot of people in our community that really just don't know better. They don't know that they're being rude. They're just ignorant to the fact that they could be bothering and upsetting other people. So we want to help them feel welcome, but also help teach them what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. Quite a few times they'll say things thinking it'll help them fit in, not knowing that it's pushing people away. So for us, we want to take care of the situation, let them know that it's inappropriate, but also take that extra step to help them feel comfortable. Because if we tell them very respectfully that they're not doing something that's okay, we don't want them to run away. We want to keep them as part of the community, but keep them part of the community respectfully.
For me, I take an empathetic approach to trying to solve the issue. I remember one time there was a person who was very angry with me, or not me, sorry, but like the game and how it kept breaking, and like he spent at least 30 hours in the game already, and then there was like a bug that just prevented him from progressing further. So he kind of like wrote like a really long Steam forum post, just like kind of I guess venting out his frustration at the team. But like I kind of pulled him aside. I was like, hey, what you said wasn't okay, but like we're sorry that you're experiencing these bugs, but you can't speak to us like that. You have to be very firm with what you allow into your community, or else people will think it's okay for you to always toe the line.
Thank you. I think with everything that all these ladies have said, the best way to approach it is usually just kill them with kindness, understand what the root of the situation is and see what is the problem here, what's making them upset. A lot of the times people have a reason for why they're feeling a certain way, so just getting to understand them and letting them know, hey, I'm in your corner right now. If there's something that I can do to help you, I would absolutely do it. But thank you. That was a great question. Is there anybody else? Do we have time for one more question, Maria? One more? Yep, Camille?
So speaking of community, the online space is obviously huge for gaming. So what advice would you give young gamers who may find it hard to advocate for a better online community?
So the younger audience. So the younger audience are very likely new to the online community, and they don't have all the expertise and knowledge that the rest of us has. Don't put the mic this close to your mouth when you're talking. And just proper grammar, proper sentence structure, rereading your sentences to make sure you're not coming off as a little aggressive, watching your tone. It's things that younger audiences don't necessarily know yet. They don't have that experience. They haven't had that stern talking to like 10 times yet. So they're certainly going to get it, but we want to make sure, again, killing them with kindness, showing them the proper ways to go about doing it. Because there's also the chance that you talk to them and it pushes them the complete opposite direction. And then you've impacted that young individual, and they're going to carry those traits and opportunities with them as they grow. So it's very much about molding the young community. And if you've got a great community around you guys, you can all kind of nurture and grow them. I'm going to pass it this way.
Perfect, thank you. So I guess we'll get on to our next piece. Thank you so much, ladies. If any of you have any other questions for them, we can use the networking piece as well. Thank you.